So it's been quite some time since I last posted. During that intermission of time, I was trying my best to make a video about the Hummer EV and made a couple videos, but the problem is that, let's just say, when recording it, it didn't get what I was supposed to get, and I started to stumble a lot, big time. So eventually I will talk about the Hummer EV on this and what's been going on with me, but I'm actually going to talk about what's been going on for the past few months, why I haven't been posting, and I've been posting less and less. I usually post around this time, but I post mostly in the fall time. Well, everyone knows what's going on in the news and going on with, let's just say, the big guys that try to tell you what you should say and what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. If you guys are wondering what changes have been made for the past year or so, in the beginning of the year I actually got rid of Twitter and Instagram. The reason being was, let's just say, when you're trying your best and you have a gift that is good, that is helpful to try to be a light to some people's life, and it's being censored and it's not helping, there's a time and place where you kind of say, is this right? Should I push forward or not push forward? Am I gonna succeed or not gonna succeed? I started seeing the trend of it going downhill. I mean, around 2015 to like before 2020, like it was high and then it started going downhill. 2019 was a very big year. It was a good year. I enjoyed it and it was a great time. There was a lot of good things that happened, but when 2020 and 2021 kind of got in the meat and grinds of things started to take a dynamic shift, and I wanted to continue doing what I do best and talk about cars, talk about the good things about cars, try to promote some positivity. But when you have some platforms and some individuals that don't like certain things, you just kind of have to stop and say to yourself, should I push forward, or what is the trend? What is going down? I'm not the type of guy that likes to fight back, but I just stay on the path that I am called for, and I would let God take care of the rest. I would let God take care of the rest. I just do what I'm called for, and that's the final thing that I always do, and that's what I have always intend for this channel. And I'm not here for subscribers or anything like that. If God wants to bring me some people that could bring positivity and I'm just the helper of this, I'm glad to help. I'll be a great service person for this. But in the meantime, this is a journey that is going to go through some tough times. This is actually amongst one of the tough times that we're going to go through. We may be losing some subscribers, we may be losing some people, but you know, this is the time in life that this is called the pruning process. Who's going to stay and who's going to go? And I'm not going to change the direction that I was given and called for. And also at the same time, if you've been given a gift of talking and you know how to use the talking for better purposes, for a great future, that you know something great is going to come out of, and then you have the outside forces that is not accepting to that, my answer is that if you guys are hearing that, that's an airboat. That's the sound of it. So if you have outside forces that is not accepting to what has been given to you, what's been assigned to you in life, there's just a point in time you're just gonna say, is this the direction that's meant to be, and where do I go from here? So that's why I decided, like a while back, and you notice it, I'm not on Instagram. I love that place, but the problem is it was infiltrated with a lot of garbage. There was nothing positive about it. There was a lot of, let's say, inappropriate activities that just was not acceptable, because I used that platform to promote photography like cars and aviation, and that it wasn't acceptable to them, and they wanted to promote some kind of other direction. So it wasn't acceptable to me. I wasn't gonna take that as an answer, so I left. And Twitter, I loved speaking because it was a great communication. I loved talking with like-minded people, but when a company tries to put their agenda in and try to inhibit you from doing what you're supposed to be doing and bring positivity, uncalled for, and that's why I left. So YouTube is my only place. So if you want communication with me, I'm on the discussion section. Just subscribe to, you could go ahead and subscribe to my other main channel. That's the Denisel channel. This is the auto channel, but if you would like to, just subscribe. If not, then that's okay. I mean, it's we want the right people. We want to be in the direction that we were assigned to and what we were given to by God, assigned by God, and doing what is right in the eyes of God. And if people don't believe that way, we may have to lose them. This is called an apostasy. Let it happen. Just don't change the direction that was given to you and assigned to you. So that's what I wanted to tell you. So everyone's saying like you're an automotive guy, but you're pro GM. Yes, I am pro GM. I will support GM because that was the only company I actually grew up with, and that's the only company I know. I have respect for Chrysler, but they're not really American, to be honest. They're owned by the company Stellantis. It used to be Fiat Chrysler, and throughout the history, it's always been dealing with Mercedes-Benz. So technicality, it's a European company owned, that runs a company that's in the United States with an American name. So, and then you have Ford. I mean, I appreciate Ford. I've been in Fords before. I have respect for the Explorer. I have respect for the Mustang. I have respect for the F-150. The Raptor is awesome. I loved the first generation Raptor when it had the V8 engine before it went to the V6. I'm kind of sad it went to the V6. Yes, the twin turbo V6 has great horsepower, 469 horsepower, great torque numbers, awesome sauce. But come on, for a vehicle that size and that appearance, it needs a V8. Be honest with yourselves. It needs a V8. And I'm going to talk about the competitor that's going to come out of Chevrolet right now. Yes, it's a ZR2 Trail Boss. And it's coming out with a V8. So we're going to have a good time with that one. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. It's like a sneak preview, but I do not have background information. I get my news sources from GM Authority. There's other news sources that is okay, but they're kind of mainstream. They're not that great. So I don't deal with mainstream. And sometimes they have biasness. And I like to be honest and realistic about things. So Ford, I have respect for. There's some things in products that's awesome. They came out with the Ford Maverick, which is good. It's kind of like the Colorado competitor. Like, I think the Ford Ranger's the competitor. I'm not sure if the Maverick is going to have a competitor from GM or what is it, the Dodge Ram? I don't know, the Ram company. But who knows? The Ram Dakota. Anyways. So, yeah. So, I am mostly talking about GM, and I have respect for the Ford Maverick. Ford Maverick is good for the entry-level vehicles and entry-level truck drivers if you want to get into trucks. And it's a good basic level before you get into the F-150 or the F-250, 350 Super Duties. And it's a nice entry level for them to get them into trucks and see the convenience of pickup trucks. So, yeah, and then the price range is like pretty decent. It's like $20,000. Good base price range. Very awesome price range for that. So that's my take on the Ford Maverick. But mostly this is all GM. I do talk about the Hummer EV. I will have one day to talk about the Hummer EV. It's going to be a big video. I will discuss about it. But today we're just going to talk about some upcoming things that just got announced. Let's talk about Chevrolet Corvette, because the Corvette has been announced that there has been rumors, a lot of videos out talking about the Z06. It was supposed to come out next year, but it's supposed to come out in fall. But due to the chip issues, the semiconductor chips, It's not going to happen until 2023. So we are going to see for the first time the Z06 C8. So this is going to be an awesome thing to talk about. They gave the engine clips. I can't really post it without Gian's permission. I can't, but I could only talk about it, but I could post a link to it. That's the best I could do, because I don't want to get myself involved in copywriting issues and then all this hassles. But I'll just give the credit when credit is due, like on the link in the descriptions in there. So that's the first thing. Second of all, it's finally like the next generation Z06, because if you remember the C7, it was using the LT4 engine, and I will talk again about that LT4 engine because it's back on the CT5-V Blackwing. So it's still, the LT4 is still living. So the LT4 for the C7 was producing 650 horsepower. Now for the Z06 C8, what is going to happen? We don't know. We have the engine clips, but based from what we know, it's going to be based on like the IMSA racing kind of flat plane V8 engines. There has been spy clips of showing the test meal of the Z06, and the engine sounds really good. So we will see this in fall, and I will give my feedback in fall. That's around that time. So hopefully YouTube, people can see this if YouTube is kind enough, but I have no hopes on it. I just gonna say what I need to say and do what I'm called to do. I'm just gonna be real. So the Z06, this is gonna be a big thing because it's a new V8, especially for a mid-engine Corvette, especially, and also most importantly the interior. I mean, we know, like when the first time the C8 was introduced in 2020, they got rid of the stick shift and they went electronic, and the whole center console was kind of like, it's all taken up by a giant space here, and then they had the buttons, and it's all DCT Tremec dual clutch transmission. So that was mostly what it was, and we kind of, to me personally, I kind of miss the stick on the Corvette because it gives the quality and character of what a Corvette is. And I kind of feel like if it had like some kind of stick shift, kind of like electronic stick shift, it would have been great. It gives that feeling of you're actually controlling the vehicle, and it's a performance vehicle, especially like, what is it, mid-engine like sports car, and that much power, 495 horsepower performance. So yeah, I wonder how the performance is and performance numbers and all that, but we'll have to find out before fall. So that's my take on the Corvette Z06. You can watch the video. I post the link down below. It's in the description. Second of all, the CT5 Blackwing, CT5-V Blackwing. First one has been produced, and it's good looking. It's actually it's actually the automatic 10-speed. It's actually in a very good color. I actually really like that color though. It's that shadow gray metallic. That I love that color, by the way. That's a very beautiful color. So the CT5 Blackwing 10-speed. I'm really interested in the 6-speed manual, and it has that 3D printing, because that makes it really interesting for it. So I want to see how that looks like. I mean, if dealerships are kind to me, or if I get my butt and try to take the initiative to try to do something, I would be happy to do something. So, but you know, with things with COVID and trying to keep ourselves safe, and I want to be able to be safe and do the right thing, and why continuing doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So, and I'm still wearing the mask, obviously. I mean, honestly, with vaccines and all that, but it's still the right thing to do to be safe. But you need to continue doing what you love, and that's the car thing. So the CT5 Blackwing has first thing that came out was the 10-speed shadow gray, beautiful color. The link of the article is there. What do you guys think on it? It's a pretty cool color on it. I like that color. And it still kept that LT4 engine on it, which is a little tuned up, so I'm okay with that. I don't like the name, but at least it had the CTS-V kind of imprint on it, even though it changed its name. But I hope they change it back to the CTS-V. I think the CTS-V should have left alone with that name and be on its own pedigree, while it's lower trim, like the CT5 from the V below. It should be CT5, but CTS, I think the CTS-V should have been on its own. ATS-V should have been on its own, especially the CT4 Blackwing. I will find out if they have produced it. If they post the article of the first production, I'll be sure to do that and talk about that. So that's that. And also, most importantly, Silverado from Chevy, the Silverado ZR2 Trail Boss. We are going to have a Raptor competition. We are officially going to have it, because after years of ignoring, GM has been ignoring this and saying they're staying out of the business, but now it's going to be the ZR2 Trail Boss. KC-135 going to the airbase. Fun. So the Trail Boss is going to have the V8. We heard the sounds of it, and it's going to be a V8. They have been ignoring the battle between the Raptor versus the TRX. The TRX, everyone knows, is a 702 horsepower with the Hellcat engine. Everyone knows about the Hellcat engine. It produces 707 horsepower when it first came out. Now it's like 797 horsepower, almost 800 horsepower on that. That's ridiculous, especially from the Hellcat Red Eye. Yeah, so I mean, GM was ignoring the battle for quite some time, and it's time. It's really time for them to get in there. I mean, I have respect for the Raptor. I missed the Raptor when it had the V8. I would definitely buy the V8 Raptor, and they're gonna come out with the V8 Raptor next year, probably around 2022. Yeah, around the first 2 months of it, they're gonna introduce it. So it's time. It's time to bring out the Trail Boss V8. They have the 6.2 liter V8, but I think this is a more powered up version of it. We don't know how many horsepower it is. Hopefully they'll introduce it and we'll get more stats on it really, really soon. And that's that.